bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that was close. You have no idea. Came in the studio, plopped down the coffee, looked at the clock, 2 minutes. Everybody that's watching Twitter, watching that fly off and listening to the show start, you know exactly what was going on. That was close. What's up, everybody? Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Thursday, March 10th. 69 days into the new year, 295 days left. Man, I like cutting it close. It's called time. That's the subject of the show tonight. We are live from the bunker deep underground in Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet, I am your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Tonight we have a very special guest with us, Jeff Harman, who's going to man the phones with me tonight. And we're going to talk about Nancy Reagan and astrology. Of course, we're going to be taking your phone calls all night long. It's Fader Night. The number is 323-825-5045. We had a great, amazing week on the show. We had Mark Dice on Monday, Nick Redfern on Tuesday. Don Schmidt and Tom Carey were in here last night with their new book, The Children of Roswell. Great week. So we can talk about all of that. But tonight it's Jeff Harman. So I know exactly what you guys are going to do. You're going to call in and go, so Jeff, tell me about my future. And that's fine. Because it's Fader Night, and it's all about you. It's not about me. Ever. Especially on Fader Night, if you know what I'm saying. All right. You know, I've got a lot of stuff I want to talk about before we get Jeff in here. And so we're going to get to that. And the subject is time. Time. What is time? And so I just want you to go with me tonight. What is time? And before you get all tripped out, physics, and you want to just go there, and gravity, and no, that's not what time is. I'm going to help you with that tonight. All right? And it is time that you change your life. We're going to talk about that tonight. Life Change Tea will change your life. It's changed mine. I was speaking with a friend of mine today, and he calls me up and he goes, "So, dude, seriously, I need to ask you about this Life Change Tea." I said, "Well, what about it?" "No, seriously, man, because I hear you talking about it all the time, and I've got this issue, and seriously, are you just saying that because they pay you?" And I said, no. As a matter of fact, for 2 months, I and Rita and I checked out their supplements and the Life Change Tea way before we even approached any type of advertising here on the show. Because when I bring something on the show, I stand by it. And that's it. And the audience knows that. I'm not some pitch man. I turn down offers every single day. People coming to me, "Hey, Jimmy, check this out. What do you think?" The answer is no, bruh. It's no. Okay? That's it. I got to believe in it, because my audience, they listen, they trust, no. But life changed changed me. It is amazing. Everything. And I'm telling you right now, if I just did the colostrum and either the powder or the pills, because today I was doing the pills, by the way, I was popping pills today. And the tea, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. Go to getthetea.com. I stand by it. It's changed me. All right? Do it. Hey, also, and the banners are right there. Just go and click. If you guys could see what Rita and Drew have drummed up, this new website, and it's almost ready, man. We could launch it probably now and just fix the little stuff later. It looks that good. And it's fast and it's cool and all of that. And they have put so much work into it. And it'll be worth the wait. And we'll have it up this weekend. And I just can't wait. I can't wait. I just sit and look at it all day long. And we're just minutes away. It'll just make your life, our life, so much easier. Faster, it looks good, and so forth. But, man, what an amazing job they have done. And when it gets launched, please let Drew and Rita know. It does look amazing. All right, let me just get some stuff out of the way because I've got a lot to talk about tonight about time. Studio Dome, the Fade or Not special, go right now. The banners are right there. Go click on it. Go to Studio Dome. Use my name, Jimmy. Get that surround sound system, portable Bluetooth, in a hard shell case, 2 satellite speakers, a subwoofer. Get the whole thing for $99. Use the promo code Jimmy. Go and do it. Support the show. Get an amazing sound system for your house. Buy one for your kids. Buy 3. Get one for the neighbors. Go and do it. Studio Dome rocks. That's a product I stand by, too, as well. Okay, we have 4 events coming up. Excuse me. 4 events coming up. First up out of the gate is New Living Expo, April 29th through May 1st, San Mateo, California. Stephen Greer, Nassim Harriman, Greg Braden, Scott Walter, Mike Barra, Laura Eisenhower, Dr. Eben Alexander, Karen Newell. It's going to be a great Catherine Woodward Thomas. April 29th, May 1st, San Mateo. Huge event. It's great. Just south of the San Francisco airport, right there on the bay. Right after that, Contact in the Desert, June 3rd through the 6th in Joshua Tree, California. We're broadcasting live on Friday, hosting a panel on Saturday. I'll be introducing a few of the speakers there. And then on Sunday, I am going to be on the David Wilcock panel. So we've got a full weekend there. That is going to be an amazing weekend, June 3rd through the 6th. Early bird specials right now. We're giving away tickets and so forth. Also, we have tickets to give away for all of these events. The New Living Expo, Contact in the Desert, Roswell Festival, July 30th through June 30th through July 3rd in Roswell, New Mexico. Cannot wait for that one. That's going to be amazing, too, as well. Both, all of these events, New Living, Contact in the Desert, Roswell Festival, we're talking about thousands and thousands of people. These are very, very large events, and very proud of them. Come and hang out. It's just an amazing time. And then UFOs Within Reach, which is August 19th through the 21st, Big Bear, California. And that's in Big Bear in August, a great time of the year, no snow. That's when you go mountain biking and hiking. It's just, Big Bear is such a great little town. And that's going to be a great event, too, as well. Martell's going to be there, Redfern, Stanton Friedman, Kathleen Martin, Mike Barra, Steve Murillo, Yvonne Smith, and Chase Kletzky, Hugh Newman, and Brian Forrester. Great event, August 19th through the 21st. Links are also over at jimmychurchradio.com. With that, let's get this show cracking. If you can tell, I'm trying to get this stuff out of the way because I have to. I have to. That's how we support the show. But I've got some stuff I want to talk about tonight. Let's get the show cracking. Today, Chuck Norris is 76 years old. 76, and he can still probably kick your ass. Olivia Wilde is 32. Olivia played 13 on House. Remember House? Loved House. Saw every single episode, maybe even twice. She played 13. She's also in the new series Vinyl. She's great. Love her. Also today, Sharon Stone is 58. Sharon Stone always makes the list because she's Sharon Stone. Follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, you know what to do. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. The sandbox is hashtag F2B. We don't bite. Come and hang out with us. Any questions or comments during the show, just use the hashtag F2BQ. If you don't have TweetDeck, get it, download it. Let's do this. Tonight is Fader Night. Our guest tonight is Jeff Harman. He's going to man the phones with me, take your calls all night long, and we're going to talk about Nancy Reagan and astrology. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. All right. On this day in history, 1969, James Earl Ray pleads guilty to the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and is sentenced to 99 years in prison. Fader fact, according to NASA, it would cost about $18,000 to send a letter to Mars. There you go. You know, all right, let's do this. I'm gonna take a hit of coffee here. All right, time. How much time did I just spend taking a sip of coffee? Could I have done something else with that time? Everyone knows I'm a big watch guy. Right here in the bunker right now, I'm looking around. There's probably 3 or 4 watches sitting around. I've got watches in drawers. I've got them on nightstands. You go over to my house, and Rita will tell you there are watches everywhere. Dining room table, kitchen counter. I love watches. And sometimes I even wear them. One of the great things about being a watch guy is that you also get to look at them. They're amazing pieces of machinery. Seriously. I like automatic watches, which means I'm an automatic watch guy. An automatic watch means that they wind themselves. No batteries needed. Okay, they're mechanical, but you don't wind them. You can wind them, but they don't wind. They wind themselves. All right? And when you get to that level, you know, you go past having battery, quartz watches and cool looking watches. Some are expensive. And you elevate yourself past that and you go to automatic watch guy. That's a whole nother level of watch guy. All right? And other watch guys know, right? You flip, hey, is that an automatic? Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Now you're connected. They know you're at another level, right? And now when you're the automatic watch guy, you research and you learn about how and where the watch movement was made. The watch movement is what's inside of the watch. And when you have an automatic watch, it's beautiful. You get to look at them because it's art. It's complex art. It's amazing. You get a magnifying glass and you just look at it. How that gets done is beyond me. So today, I was doing what I do. I was looking at one of the movements, and it hit me. What is time? I think about it all the time. I do. But today, it just hit me at another level. What is it? And why do we measure it? Why? One thing is for sure. Without time, I got no watches, right? So we got that going for us, right? Thank goodness. But what is time? Without clocks or watches, or today, cell phones sounded like Christopher Walken for a second, or watches, would we really even know what time is if we didn't have a cell phone? Would we care? Do animals know about time? Do they care? Right? Are you with me? And probably the most important about what time is what we do with it. Forget about the fourth dimension and space-time and folding space and what direction and time machines and all of that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. What do we do with time itself? Because time is truly priceless. Think about what I am saying. It's the one thing that we all will eventually run out of. All of the money in the world ain't going to buy you more of it. You can't even sell time. It's priceless. Priceless. And you can't even sell it. You can't buy it. So, while, just go with me. All right, this is how my mind works. While we run around all day long, running out of time every single day, constantly checking it, looking down at our wrists, looking at our cell phones, the clock on the dashboard of your car. It's not that we need to get things done. No, it's reminding us every minute of how little we have left. If you live to the age of 75, let me ask you a question. Do you know this? If you live to the age of 75, you will have been on this planet for what? 273,750 days? 27,375 days? Or 2,735 days? Light it up right now on Twitter. Give me your guesses. How many days are you on this planet if you live for 75 years? Well, if you guessed 27,375 days, you are smart. But most of you guys were going for 275,000, weren't you? Yeah, because life is long, right? 275,000 days. That's got to be the right answer, but it's not. When you're young, it lasts forever. But it doesn't. I'm 52 years old. If I live to the ripe old age of 75, I have a very precious 8,395 days left on planet Earth. That's it. Time is a bitch. So you have to ask yourself, have I wasted any of that time? You can't waste it, ever. You cannot do it. I've got 8,000 days left. That's it. And I know when I get to 75, if I could spend all of the money in the world and I could buy one extra day, I would do it, but I can't. I have a friend. His name is Daniel Keplinger. Daniel Keplinger. Look him up right now. Daniel Keplinger. Keplinger. Daniel Keplinger. Otherwise known as King Gimp. King Gimp. Check him out on Facebook. Google him right now. He's done an awful lot with his life. He's one of the most amazing people ever, seriously, done. Daniel Keplinger. Daniel Keplinger was born on January 19th, 1973 with cerebral palsy. Yeah. Which means he had nothing. Can't move. The only thing he can move on his body were his eyeballs. Not his fingers, not his hands, not anything, not his toes, nothing. Daniel Keplinger, one of the most amazing men on planet Earth. In 1983, Susan Hederi and William Whitford featured Keplinger in their documentary dealing with the education of disabled children. And the documentary was about the lack of education of children with diseases like this, because there's no way to teach them. So you know what those schools would do? They would lay these kids on the floor, on the carpet, and let them lay there all day long. You can't teach them. They can't talk. They can't write. They can't move. All they do is stare back at you. And that was the education system. Sad, but it's the way that it was. And in 1983, Susan and William are filming this documentary with all of these kids lying around on the floor like animals. Nothing that the teachers could do. They can't talk. They can't write. That's it. There's nothing to teach. And then while they are Susan and William and some other adults are standing around talking, they looked down and they noticed something about Dan Keplinger as he laid there on the floor. He couldn't move, and he literally just laid around all day long. No teachers, no activity, nothing. But what they noticed was that Dan was reacting to what they were saying. They didn't know it at the time, but he understood everything that they were talking about. And his little eye movements were screaming out to them. Literally screaming. We know today because Dan said, I was looking at them going, I know what the bleep you guys are talking about. I understand. Look at me. Pay attention. I understand you. And he's trapped in this body, and there's nothing he could do about it. But he had taught himself language. He had taught himself math. He had taught himself everything. Laying there. That single magic moment was caught on film. I've seen it, and it will change your life. Changed his life, changed theirs, changed mine. King Gimp, that documentary about Keplinger kicking life's ass, won the 2000 Academy Award for Best Documentary. Time is important. What have you done with your life? Dan has become one of the most amazing, in-demand modern artists of our time, and I call him my friend. He was trapped in his own mind and couldn't do a thing. He ended up teaching himself how to roll, no arms, no legs, roll around on the ground, and would tip into paint and roll back a little drop, and over time, one drop of paint at a time, it would take months, and he would create this artwork, these portraits, these paintings, rolling around on the ground at the age of 10. And they found out that he is one of the most gifted, smartest people ever on this planet. And there was a close chance that life was going to be wasted. Dan Keplinger, after attending school, he went on to graduate high school at the age of 16. In 1998, he was the graduate of Townsend University with a major in mass communication. Look him up. Check him out. Watch the documentary. It's called King Gimp. On that day in 1999, when I found King Gimp and I watched that movie, I reached out to him. It changed me. I cried for 7 days. Dan frigging Keplinger. He has made every second of every day of his life count. Think about it. Become his friend on Facebook. You'll be glad you did. and tell him Jimmy sent you. King Gimp. King Gimp. What is time? So when you listen to this show, King Gimp, when you listen to this show and you listen to my voice and you listen to what I do with my family, my friends, and Rita, you need to think about how I appreciate time. And every single day, what we do here, we put everything that we have into this show. I've only got 8,000 days left, and I have got a lot to say. And I don't want to waste a minute of it. It breaks my heart when I get an email from somebody that says, you know, man, I'm all pissed off because I can't get a download of your show, man. You know, what are you doing? You know what? We work really, really hard to make sure that we have the best show, the best information, the best guests, and have a good time and share information and this loving, warm family that we have built here. We don't waste a single second. I know. I've only got so much time left. And it's the same for you. And if you're going to invest your precious time here with me, it's not going to be wasted. And if you want to see the motivation that I have, that Rita has, if you just want to doubt for a second what I am about, go check out King Gimp. Put yourself in check. You go check that out. Watch that documentary. Go friend him on Facebook. Look at his pictures. Look what he does every single day with his life. And then turn around and ask yourself, have I wasted any time? Because you have. And you can't do it anymore. You can't. Life is way too precious. Tonight on this show, Jeff Harman is here. We're going to discuss Nancy Reagan, 94 years old, passed away on Sunday. Tomorrow is her funeral. She didn't waste a second of her life. We're going to talk about her and astrology, what really went on in the White House. I can't wait. And we're going to take your phone calls all night long. This is Fade to Black. This is truly bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Jeff Harman. Your phone calls next. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National tax experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. Doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously. Give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444.
Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Combat, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Waiting to get Jeff Harman in here. This is Bespoke Radio for the masses. Come on, Jeff. I'm watching you. Come on, Jeff. You can do it. All right. Well, I'll stay on this. But speaking about time and Dan Keplinger, you should check him out. And I think he's on, you know what? Somebody find him on Twitter right now. You know what? He's got a way of, with his laptop and his device that he mounts to his head, so he can type and he can mess around on Twitter and Facebook. And we talk all the time. And so you can find King Gimp on Twitter. I believe he is there. If somebody wants to pop him one and tell him that we're talking about him on the air right now, he'll probably check it out, him and his wife, Dina. Great guy. All right. Somebody just said talk about John Teeter. There's going to be, come on, Jeff. I'm watching you. He doesn't know that I can see all of his activity right now, and he's goofing around. Yeah. We got some complications going, brother. Okay. All right. You know what? I'll just, Jeff, while I'm watching you goof around here, I'll just take some phone calls. Let's do that. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. It's Fader Night. We're going to be taking calls all night long. And what'd you think about my little time conversation? Time is trippy. And what most people don't know is that when I ask, I know it was a trick question when I said, how many days, and it's kind of weird because when I talk about it, I've had people say 2,700 days. Most people go with the 275,000. But when you so when you land on this, the 75-year-old number, and you start to get to that point, And then you start talking about 27,000 days. Okay, then it starts to hit you. Holy crap, that's not much time at all, really. And then you think to yourself, well, wait a minute. Hang on. You say to yourself, wait a minute. And if I'm 35 years old, that means I'm halfway through this thing, so I'm not at 27,000 years anymore. Or 27,000 days. I'm at 10,000, 11,000. You watch people start to calculate this in their own mind, and that reality is what starts to hit you, and it hits you quick. And so when all of this mortality is happening around us, and I'm talking about the mortality of people passing away. Look at David Bowie, 69 years old. And you start to think about this. That's not 75 years old. That's 69. He didn't get his 27,375 days. He didn't get his due, right? He got robbed. He got to 25,000 days, 24,000, 23,000. And you start to think about it in those terms. Time is precious. When I say I'm 52 and I'm looking around, I don't want to be all morose. That's not where I'm going with this. It's not a morose thing at all. It's that the reality starts to set in on what time really is. Because I got a lot to say. I'm 52. I feel like I'm 21. I feel like I'm going to live forever. But I'm not. Nobody does. Unless you're an alchemist and you can bust out 500 years. That's a whole other story. But then you start to realize that when you start to see, the news of somebody, passing away naturally at the age of 59, at the age of 60, at the age of 61, and you start to realize all of this, that it's a precious thing. It's totally precious. That's all there is. And you can't buy those days back. I would love for this show to go for another 20 years. I would love for it to go for 20 years. But it's not. It's not. 20 years is nothing. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Tammy.
Hey, Tammy, what's up?
You said you had 8,000 days left, right?
Well, approximately. No, it could be less. Could be more.
Nah, I think you got more than that, like 8,000 and a half.
It doesn't matter. It's not enough.
I know. I lost my little brother at 24. Hey, I love that whole speech about time. What watch are you looking at? You're trying to read into.
What's that? What watch? What? What's that?
I'm teasing you, Jim.
Okay.
You have a great night.
Okay, Tammy. You got it.
Bye.
Bye-bye. What watch am I teasing? Yeah, I'm always looking at the next watch purchase. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm some pretentious guy and I'm walking around with Rolexes sitting on tables and stuff like that. That's not what goes on here. I buy watches that are unique. I don't care. It could be $100 watch. If it's an automatic watch and it's cool and it's got a vibe to it, and I can pick that up for $100 or $200 and just and be proud of it, that's cool to me. I have some that are a little bit more money, but my point is I just like things that are cool. And the things that are really, really, really expensive to me, they don't look cool to me. I'm not a Rolex guy. I don't own a Rolex. And never will. Never will. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
I'm calling the live line. I've texted him and I've emailed him. I'm just going to sit there and watch the emails.
Who's calling? You're live on the air right now.
Hi, this is Camille Harman calling.
Hey, Camille. Yeah, we're calling you guys. What's up?
I know. His Skype is not responding. He's freaking out. Can you use a landline backup?
Yeah, we'll do it right now. Put him on the phone.
Okay, well, this is my landline. Can I give you his landline?
Camille, you're live on the air, right? Camille,
oh, sorry.
You're live on the air right now.
818. 914-6067. Here, hold on. I'm going to get it.
Okay, you just announced your home line to the entire world. This is insane. I have never. Oh, this is funny. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
It was funny because our producers here were calling you on your other phone numbers and texting you, but we didn't get any response back. Anyway, so we're live now.
Great.
Okay. You got to love
right.
live. That is absolutely bizarre how all that was just done. Okay, well, we're connected, and this is master astrologer Jeff Harman. Tonight we're going to talk about Nancy Reagan's use of astrology. And contrary to the mainstream media's assertion that she used astrology only after the attempt on her husband's life, there is evidence of hers and Ronald Reagan's use of astrology while they were living in California. We're also going to talk about the astrological analysis of the election right now and the candidates that are running in the 2016 elections. And let's just do this now, Jeff. The phone lines are open, but welcome back to the program, and it's great to have you here.
You bet. I hear it's your birthday, too.
No, not mine.
Oh.
No,
for the show.
For my
show?
No.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Set it on your website. Set it on Skype. That was the show's anniversary or birthday. Okay.
Oh, it's possible. No, no. What? Our anniversary date is December 18th.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
What you're referring to, you might be referring to some date that is in Skype or something when we registered professional phone numbers or something. Yeah, that's probably it. That's the only thing I can think of because our anniversary date is December 18th, 2013 for this show.
All right.
The sports show was way, way, way before that. So anyway, I was talking about, and the phone lines are already lighting up, and I knew this was going to happen with you, Jeff. So what I want to do is let's talk about, let's jump into this with Nancy. Because I remember, this is what I remember. I remember back in the I'm going to say early 80s, that the rumors and the urban legend that was running around the country, and I know you remember this, was that Nancy would have a certain astrologer hang out at the White House. And that there was international diplomacy was being based on charts and decisions inside of the country, and that they actually that he was depending on her for advice on decisions that were done with astrology. That was the rumor, and it was all over the place. People talked about it a lot. What's the real truth with it? And who was the astrologer that she used to bring to the White House?
Well, that's great, because you and I were talking before the show on this. Actually, Reagan's use of astrology, and they protected Reagan. Nobody wanted Reagan to be known for using astrology. But the astrologer who was in the White House and also the astrologer who worked with Reagan and Nancy was Carol Reiter. In fact, Ronald Reagan used to meet Carol Reiter in Beverly Hills at Nate Nell's when he was governor. And Carol Reiter was also the astrologer that Robert Mitchum was a ghostwriter for. In other words, Robert Mitchum was a ghostwriter for Carol Reiter. Carol Reiter was a very well-known astrologer in Hollywood. And interestingly enough, Glenn Ford, Burl Ives, and many, many others, it's rumored even Jimmy Stewart was around it. So Jimmy Stewart started Southwest Airlines, or the company that became Southwest Airlines. So the interesting thing is Reagan himself had the history with Carol Reiter long before it was rumored that Nancy was bringing him in. In fact, just recently on the Fox News, they were saying that Nancy only started using astrology after the assassination attempt on his life, which is, again, they're passing it off on Nancy. And trust me, he was meeting with Carol Reiter. In fact, one of the proof is, if you look into the historical records, Ronald Reagan was sworn in, I think, a few minutes after midnight as governor. Now, nobody does that unless they're using astrology.
And wasn't
there's some really interesting history there. And this is what I tell a lot of clients anyhow, is keep it close to the vest. People who tend to be very staunch religious people, which I'm fine, I respect that, they tend to really regard astrology as the work of the devil. And in fact, if you talk about ghosts or anything like that, paranormal phenomena, UFOs, all that, we're all kind of looked at as weirdos, right? And yet, the Vatican, as well as many other organizations, have coveted occult knowledge forever. In fact, the Pope takes a bath in a bathtub surrounded in the signs of the zodiac. So, yeah, as far as Reagan goes, he has a long history with it, and so does Hollywood.
And what about Jean Dixon?
I don't know too much about Jean Dixon. I can't really comment on her.
Well, because that was the stories that I remember from the early 80s, was that Jean Dixon was seen in the Oval Office, and she was consulting.
That very well be. That I don't know. The only one I know for sure is again, Carol Reiter. There were several. Evangeline Adams is another one who has a long history. Now, that was John Quincy Adams' granddaughter, and she was doing a lot in Washington. I can tell you I've got several clients in Washington. I can't mention who or where. Again, I always tell them to be quiet about it. But some of them actually, well, I shouldn't say this, but they're involved with the Fed and some of the World Bank things and other areas of politics. I don't have anybody in this particular presidential election, though there is one, but I can't mention who. And I can tell you that if you look at Washington, D.C., it's an Egyptian temple. In fact, look into the book called Talisman, which talks about the French architect who designed the Egyptian temple known as Washington, D.C. I mean, if you look it up, Washington, D.C. is not even considered to be in the country. It's the District of Columbia. It's listed that way.
Yeah, and
so it's in the state of Maryland, but it's the District of Columbia. And if you look at some of the esoteric symbology there, it's an Egyptian temple.
When did it start for Nancy, astrology, and how much did she depend on it?
Well, again, I think Nancy was the cover. I really think it was Reagan using it.
And
Reagan was using it back when he was governor in California, and it's rumored that he was actually using it back when he was an actor. And then what happened was it became publicly leaked out, and it was, I think, shoved off on Nancy. So I think Nancy respected it a lot.
Is there any evidence that he made decisions as governor? Obviously, there was some stuff that went down as president, but if it went back that far as governor, is there any evidence that he made decisions based on astrology?
Well, yeah, I think the one that I mentioned earlier is when he was sworn in at a few minutes after midnight. In fact, he had, I believe it was an Asian man had sworn him in, a judge. I can't remember who. I have all that records somewhere, but I could certainly dig it up for you.
Well, that's interesting. Why would he?
I mean, right there, who do you know? Have you ever heard of anybody in the United States being sworn in at a few minutes after midnight?
And why would he do that, Jeff?
For astrological reasons. You see, if you look at electional astrology, which is really what it's called, and ironically enough, when we talk about presidential elections and government elections, electional astrology just happens to have the same name. It's literally picking an auspicious time at which to commence an event. The eastern horizon represents the person commencing the event. I know I do it. My business is largely built around elections for corporations. I do it for marriages. I do it for conception elections. I do it for trips. Forming corporations is a real big one. Buying and selling real estate. I do it all the time. So it's the same thing in a governmental election or a presidential election. The moment in time you're sworn in has a huge effect. In fact, when we look back at Barack Obama, the first inauguration that he had was actually on January 20th of 2009, and he was sworn in right at noon. Now, the reason they do it at noon is because the sun is at noon at that time, or you could say right up at the mid-heaven, which is also known as the 10th house of power, respect, and authority. The very first time that he was sworn in, the moon was void of course. In fact, I believe there was a mistake, and they actually had to redo it. That's a matter of public record. And the other thing that was interesting about Barack Obama is when he was first sworn in, the first term, Mercury was retrograde, which in plain English means it was looking backwards with respect to the Earth's position. In other words, it appears to be moving backwards in the sky. Now, we know planets don't go backwards in a heliocentric model of the solar system, but they actually do from Earth's geocentric position. So the interesting thing was, if you look back at what's happened with Barack Obama, like him or dislike him, he's had a lot of trouble in both terms. In fact, I was very surprised he got elected in the second term. I think Mitt Romney was told to throw that election. I really do. Because,
it's interesting how, and I've read about Nancy about that she got into astrology after the assassination attempt on his life. Why would the public and journalists and so forth put that on Nancy directly right after that? I
they wouldn't want the president of the United States to be known as using astrology.
And what was, yeah, exactly. I'm sure that they all
were hiding, clearly.
Yeah.
Because there is absolute proof, and again, the one that I can give you best off the top of my head is when he was sworn in as governor, which clearly was a long time before he was president.
And wasn't there an admission from Nancy at some point that they did consult an astrologist?
Yeah, I think there was. I don't know where there'd be any actual proof of that, but yeah, absolutely. I think there was. How I know is I have a couple of really good friends here who actually witnessed the situation going on with Reagan and Carol Ryder. They're older astrologers.
I wonder if
in fact, one of them's Arch Crawford, and I can tell you these people don't lie. I used to go into Nate Nell's years ago, and in fact, it was back in the 80s. Of course, Reagan wasn't there then. He was in Washington, and a lot of folks hang out in that place.
I wonder if you went over to the Reagan Library, what evidence that they would have, or if they would be willing to talk about it. I think that's an interesting aspect. And
probably none. I think he would get nowhere. This kind of stuff is held really close to the vest. People don't talk about this. In fact, I can tell you, I've got people in politics that I have done gemstones for, where literally they will wear certain pendants that I set for them that are the astrological correct gem for them to wear using Vedic astrology. And they purposely go out of their way to hide it. They don't. In politics, people really want to look very straight and narrow, very much, classical and tight to the vest. So the last thing I think they want leaking out is that they're using anything occult like astrology.
And as you look at, and I mentioned this leading up to you coming on the show, we're in the elections now. What do you see as an outcome, and what is going on? Because this is certainly the craziest election year in that probably in the nation's history.
It is. It's really out there. And I think it's reflective of what, in fact, whoever gets to be president between now and 2020, as I had mentioned last time on your show, the astrology shows we are clearly at a precipice of change on this whole modern society like we've never seen before. Never seen it before. In fact, the last time we had something this big astrologically was in the early 1700s, which, of course, precipitated this country, the Revolutionary War, and also brought the Industrial Revolution. I think we're on the verge of a high-tech revolution that's absolutely going to blow our minds. And the person who gets to be president is going to definitely be dealing with some clearly crazy stuff, no matter who it is. I have a sneaking suspicion Hillary is going to get indicted. Now, that may sound a little out there, but when I look at her astrology, and I've got Hillary Clinton's Vedic astrology right here, she is not in a strong period. Even though she's leading Sanders, she hits a very challenging period right at the end of this month, first part of April. Don't be surprised if she has more trouble on her plate. She vehemently denies it, but Hillary's chart fits her to the T. She has the girl's smart. I will give her that. She's very smart. She's very diplomatic, but I can see why she's not trusted. She has a really nasty Mars-Saturn conjunction in the 10th house of her career, but yet it's well aspected. So she's really is a diplomat. She really is. But I think she's very untrustworthy based on this chart. And I'm not bashing Hillary Clinton. I'm not endorsing or bashing anyone. But if I was to look at this chart, I'd say this person would have very questionable alliances. And that's exactly what she's called for.
Well, and she has somebody consulting her about this. Isn't there a way to take that advice and work with it and change and work on what your charts are telling you?
There is. It's like a radar report. In fact, I really don't subscribe to astrology predicts the future, and it's been kind of, I think, slandered that way by many of the religious people. But really what astrology is it's showing energy. And I really believe the ancient Egyptian, Babylonian, and Vedantic astrology, which again comes from India, and the ancient medieval or traditional astrology, which actually is Egyptian, has it right. And that is its influences. And I believe it's karmic influences. So yes, you can compensate. In fact, that's the intelligent way to use it. It's almost like a vector. If you have ever studied vectors, they're forces that impinge upon us. And when you look at the chart, like I would say to Hillary right now, it's not going to be easy. And I don't know that she can overcome this. She definitely has some friends in high places, but then there's people that I'm hearing, and you can hear it on the news as well, that there may be a grand jury already. In fact, that someone's been given immunity. In fact, that was mentioned on the news channels as well, that there may already be a grand jury and that there's likely to be some type of an indictment. If that happens, she's history. I mean, she's not going to be able to continue the campaign.
Have you?
And that is going to change the dynamic.
Jeff, have you looked at the charts for all of the candidates right now?
I have. All the major ones.
Okay, well, before we get to that, and we're going to hit a break here in about 30 seconds, did you take a look at Ben Carson's, and did you see like a crash and burn scenario?
I did. Carson and also I would say Mark Rubio, and even Ted Cruz is not strong. Even though he's doing well, he's not strong astrologically.
Well, we're gonna break all of them down after the break. We're gonna talk about each one of them individually, and of course, we're gonna take some phone calls. But it's just interesting. The reason why I bring up Ben is, he had that peak, he had that little thing, and suddenly he was, challenging Trump in the polls, and he had this little run. And I was just interested, if you looked at his charts back then, that there was this crash and burn on the horizon and these problems.
He was never strong. He was never strong to begin with. It's rumored he's going to endorse Trump tomorrow.
Oh, really? Now, that's interesting. All right. Our guest tonight is Jeff Harman. It is Fader Night. We'll be taking your calls all night long. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. Yeah, we're talking astrology tonight, and he's one of the best. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be back right after this. Don't forget about time.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church. Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
Hey folks, Life Change Tea here, reminding you that colds and flus suck. Feeling lousy sucks, and allergies really can be annoying. What if you could change that? What if you could drink something that changed the sick and tired scenario? Well, you can change how you feel with a little help from Life Change Tea. Life Change Tea is a drink you make, you control. and you drink. There are 8 organic herbs that blend together and give you what you need to fight the flus and colds of this world. Less sickness is more relief. Life Change Tea can help with high blood pressure, constipation, high cholesterol, and much, much more just by drinking the tea. Read the numerous testimonies at getthetea.com. If you're tired of feeling lousy, order right now at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. If you've heard this commercial more than once and someone's trying to tell you something, it's time to get well. Getthetea.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99. And you use the promo code Jimmy and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, JimmyChurchRadio.com. Promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black. Across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Welcome to everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Tonight is Fader Night, taking your calls all night long. Our guest is Jeff Harman, and we're talking astrology and the election. Nancy Reagan just passed away, and astrology in Washington, D.C. and politics is nothing new. And we are in the middle of the craziest election year ever with the biggest bunch of schmoes running. One of these lucky schmoes is going to make their way into the Oval Office. I have no idea how it's going to shake out. And, Jeff, as you look at everybody's charts, and I brought up Ben Carson because that was the quickest rise and crash and burn that I think any of us witnessed. And I think we were all kind of surprised to see him in the polls and rising. I have my own, personal beliefs there. But it was kind of shocking. But in his charts, there must have been something there that this was just a fleeting moment.
It was. He just never came out strong. If you look at his chart, he has a very soft demeanor in the first place. And I don't think he has the punch to really be a president. He'd be a great diplomat. But a leader, I'm not saying he isn't an intelligent man. He's got a really strong Mercury. But I think he's too nice in a way to be the president.
Well, when you say his Mercury is strong, when he made that comment about the pyramids, that they were built to be grain silos. Right? And he was like, okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
you're not going to be in the Oval Office, pal. You can just go ahead and punch out now.
He's not going to. No, it's not going to happen. And it never will. I'll tell you the guy, believe it or not, who is the strongest astrology guy. I like Bernie Sanders a lot. He actually agree or disagree with his policies, which I think some of them are off. He's actually a really smart guy. And he and Donald Trump both have a special condition which truly makes them leaders. I have to say, and it's interesting, the strongest guy astrologically is Trump. And when you look at his chart, I'm not endorsing him or anything, but he comes off precisely how the chart is. He's got Mars in the ascendant. He's very abrasive and very, very direct. But he has a very powerful energy in the 10th house of career. I can see why he's made all the money he's made. And Sanders has something similar. It's just not as strong. Hillary, I call her Billary, is actually the one that scares me the most out of everyone. Ted Cruz scares me the second, and the rest of them, not bad guys. Hillary, I'm telling you, I'm not here bashing her. I think she's really intelligent. But if you were just to take the name off this chart and stick it under my nose, I would say, ooh, this one could get wicked. And there's all kinds of rumors flying around about her where she's covered things up for Bill. She's an attorney. And, like George Carlin said, I hope there's a special place in hell for certain people that sweep injustices under the carpet like that. And I can tell you her chart shows that she would do something like that.
Well, I tell you how I predict an election, and this may sound strange, but I have never been wrong. All I do is look at who's running, and I close my eyes, and I imagine who is presidential-like, who is worthy of being there. That's it. It may sound strange, but that's how I do it, and I've never, ever been wrong. And when
that's called intuition.
But I can't do it with who we have right now. I can't close my eyes and picture any of them running the free world. It's a frightening thought to put each one of them in my mind's eye, in my id, and just kind of go there. I don't see it. I just don't. Not any of them. And that's what's frightening.
Well, that's interesting you bring this up, because that was something I was going to go into a little bit later in the show. The astrology shows we had 9/11 and that whole upset on something called a Saturn-Pluto opposition.
What does that mean?
Saturn-Uranus square brought us the banks crashing, and we have the completion of a 30-year cycle coming up right exactly in 2019 and 2020, and that's exactly when this major 240-year cycle I was saying happens again. There's some colossal stuff on the plate. I would have to say the charts lean towards a crazy upset election year, and Trump could actually pull it off. He's like the only man standing here. And it's interesting how powerfully Cruz and Rubio are fighting, and Kasich as well. I actually like John Kasich a lot. He has a good chart. He actually has a really strong chart. I don't have accurate birth data on John Kasich, but just looking at the patterns in it, he's certainly capable. I'll say that. He really is. I think he means what he says, and he's probably very honest. I often question why anyone would want to be president of the United States. When you look at the chamber of horrors that Washington is, it's like there's so much red tape and bureaucracy there. I don't know how anybody gets anything done. And
yeah, that's always the first thought. When how is it possible? How is it possible to affect change in 4 years? You have to go there. You have to land on your feet. You have to get into, the Oval Office. You've got to get your, your letter opener in the correct spot. You've got to, your, whatever. You've got to get your head cleared, fill up the filing cabinets, and you know what I'm saying. Like anything, when you start a new job,
yeah, dude,
and of all of the responsibilities that you have, those are real ones. and then you have to start to try to affect change. And you've only got 4 years to get it done. You know, it's impossible. Yeah, absolutely impossible. And the other thing, and I don't talk politics on the show, but what I do talk about, which is easy enough to do, is talk about the conspiracy and the stuff that is driving Washington, because that's the real nuts of it. That's the crux of it, is the conspiracy that is behind Washington, and it runs deep, and it's been there for a long time. But when we look at, could it be right now that the reason why everything is this crazy and this nuts, that for the first time maybe that this country is absolutely fed up with politics? They don't want a politician this time around.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I do think that's what's happening. I also think that, George Carlin really was not too far off base when he said in the American dream, you have owners. Forget the politicians, you have owners. And, it was reported Rockefeller, to sound, not to sound conspiratorial, but he said, give me control of the money and I don't care who makes the laws. And yes, the Fed prints our money, but this mysterious bank that keeps borrowing the 19 trillion plus is a very interesting thing. And it goes much, much deeper. In fact, I have some people who know a lot more about finances than I do, and it's been reported that Deutsche Bank and the London Ties, this whole Western banking system right now is way more than 19. It's over 100 and something trillion in debt. And they're buying the bonds and derivatives out the back door and selling them out the front. And I can tell you, the Chinese, the Russians, and the BRICS nations have long been building things up so that they can actually do an alternative system to the petrodollar. This whole game with the oil, I have heard on the inside, it was literally to suppress Russia from being able to do anything because they're so dependent on oil.
Right.
And they're floating this whole game through this financial system to allow that to happen, even though it's costing billions, or it's probably costing more than that. The numbers I don't have accurate. But this fits really well with the astrology and your vision of the election. I really think this is absolutely uncharted waters, and I think expect the unexpected. I'm not saying or voting for Donald Trump's or pushing for him, but if somebody had to take all the names off these charts, if there was one guy that actually he's got the classic yogas in Vedic astrology for a true leader. Now, he's not as articulate. You listen to him, he fumbles a bit. He's not an eloquent politician like Cruz and Rubio. They'll come right back with all these correct and politically correct responses. Trump's more of a logician. He's more of a general. And he gets chastised a lot. A lot of people don't like him because of his harshness. But I would tell you, he has something called a primary directed sun conjuncting the ascendant. And that's only going to happen once in his lifetime. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get in, even though I don't think he's going to get in easy. And I think this is going to be probably even nastier coming up. And we're certainly going to find out here because this coming Tuesday, if he doesn't win Florida and if he doesn't win Ohio, he's going to be in big trouble. But he's still likely to be the front runner. So this is the craziest election. You're right. Never seen anything like it. And I think if Hillary goes down, which she's vehemently denying she will, she hits a sub-period in Vedic astrology. I'd be surprised if something doesn't come in on her right at the end of this month, beginning of next. And that's right when they're saying the potential for the indictment would be.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see how it shakes out. I always look at it like this when it comes to the conspiracies of Washington, that everybody that's running right now was chosen. And it's always deliberate. And so why have a guy like Cruz and why have a guy like Rubio in there when they obviously can't win? Look, I'm not talking politics here. I'm just saying there's just no way, Cruz or Rubio or Kasich sits in the White House. It's not there. It doesn't fit, and it's not going to happen. And then when you flip over to the other side and you look at a guy like Bernie or you look at Hillary, are they presidential material? No, they're not. And it doesn't fit the system. So why do they have this set up right now to do this? Is it just because that Trump is the chosen one? Is Hillary the chosen one? I don't know. But nothing else makes sense here. There's nobody to compete. There's nobody.
On that note, that's interesting you bring. I have a couple of clients. One in particular went to Harvard with Barack Obama, and I had some interesting inside information on him. And I also have another client who met him at Occidental and had encounters. They didn't just walk by and say, "Oh, there's a guy named Barack Obama." They actually had encounters with him. And the other client I have, she knew him very well. They went to Harvard together for law school, and it's interesting because the reports, he knew he was going to be president. He knew he was going to be president 30 years ago. Now, how could that possibly be? And, people will roll their eyes and say, oh, there's conspiracy theory. I can tell you one of my friends and clients told me he walked up to him and said, hey, he was complaining about playing a boombox. And it's a long story, but he was a maintenance man at Occidental College. And Barack Obama walked up with two guys in security with him and looked right at him and said, my name is Barack Hussein Obama. He says, I don't care what you think. I'm going to be president of the United States someday, and I'll play this damn boombox as loud as I want. And he walked away. Now, that's an interesting story. And I do not believe that this client was lying. In fact, I actually checked it with Astrology, and my opinion is he's not lying.
We're gonna. The phone lines have been going nuts all night, and the calls are going to come in. Okay, Jeff, tell me about my future. Tell me, what is it that when these calls start coming in, what is it that you need from a caller to start to answer those questions? Do you need a name? Do you need a birth date? Do you need nothing at all?
Well, no. For something like this, it's better if I just use an ancient astrology called interrogation astrology. Now, that's actually truly divinational. If someone asks me a question, I just literally cast a chart for the moment where I'm sitting. And whatever they're asking about where's my cat? Well, we look at the sixth house. Sixth house is cats. If they're asking about money or the president, we look at the 10th. So it's an ancient tool. That's what generals and emperors used to ask court astrologers in the courts. And
so the foundation of that, you don't need a starting point. Look, I'm not an astrologist.
Starting point consciousness.
What's that?
The starting point is consciousness.
Okay.
As long as it's a burning desire, it'll have traction.
Let's go to the phones, man. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jeff Harman. Who's calling?
This is Dino. I'd like to stay on the topic, Jimmy, about electional astrology. How you doing, Jeff?
Very good. Thanks.
Are you there?
Yes, he's there.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Hi. Anyway, number one, my mother was all into this much more than me. But it's true what you said about the tiles around the Vatican, because an astrologer, when I was like 19 years old, did my chart named Gavin Arthur. Did you know him?
No, there's no Gavin Arthur.
He was a grandson of Chester Arthur, President of the United States, and he was a strange bohemian old man in San Francisco. But he used to talk a lot about these relationships in astrology. Now, isn't it true that when you look into the relationship, like Hillary is a Scorpio, that many of these presidents that get elected, it has to do with the chart of the United States itself, which is a Cancer sun, and I forget what it is. Do you look at that and the relationship, the aspects between the candidate and America's birth time?
You can. There's a number of ways to look at it. We can take the election day and drop that in what we call primary direction on the birth chart of the candidate. You can also look at that in synastry up against the U.S. chart. It's called the U.S. Sibley chart. It's named after Ebenezer Sibley, who is claimed to have the correct signing time of the Declaration of Independence.
And that is what, a Cancer sun, and what's the moon sign of America?
Here, hang on. I'll get that up for you. Hang on.
Because I thought it was Scorpio, and that Scorpions and Cancers, the candidates, did well.
Yes. The United States Sibley chart has, in tropical astrology, it's an Aquarius moon. The sun is at 13 Cancer, and the rising sign is Sag.
Well, I have Sag rising, so my mouth is always running. But so the candidates that have gotten in, have you looked statistically through the various presidents to see how many of them were water signs, how many of them were air signs, et cetera, to see how that related to America's birth chart?
You can, but what works better, in my opinion, is the cycles and the primary directions that they are experiencing in their own birth chart. If the cycles are not positive, they're not likely to get in. And that's, like Jimmy was mentioning earlier, Ben Carson, he just was in an inert cycle. There's no way he would have ever gotten the traction to get anywhere. Hillary is in a debilitated sun period. Now, this is Vedic astrology. This is using a sidereal zodiac, so it's a whole other world. And the ancient Babylonian Egyptian astrology, too, is a whole other. They're much deeper and much more accurate. I don't know if the food was better and the air was cleaner, which I'm sure it was. But that stuff is pretty advanced, and it's really, really accurate.
And on that topic, does the Oriental astrology tie in with your Western astrology sign, and does that strengthen or influence it in any way?
Well, it's called a sidereal zodiac. In fact, the Chinese, the Indian astrology all uses a sidereal system. Like if you take the U.S. chart in Vedic astrology, it doesn't have a Cancer sun. It's actually back in Gemini. So everything shifts about 24 degrees, and that's because it's taking into what we call the precession of the equinoxes. The solar system travels around the central sun approximately every 24 to 26,000 years. So depending, and if you speak to different sidereal astrologers, you will get slightly different charts, but they'll generally be the same. It's approximately 24 degrees. So approximately every 72 years, we move 1 degree, our solar system does. So, again, using the Sibley chart, which, again, was named after Ebenezer Sibley, who, again, was a Mason and reported the exact astrology chart for the signing. In fact, it's rumored he actually picked that time that they all signed it. Benjamin Franklin was an avid astrologer, overwhelming on that. And, in fact, he said no emperor, king, general would commence a major event without first consulting an electional astrologer. So
there you go. Thank you.
And then one other thing, because you were talking earlier, Jimmy, and I heard that. It's too bad my mother is not still alive, but wasn't Joan Quigley one of the astrologers Nancy used? And she was a Republican. And I had been told that, and I knew an astrologer named Jabe Jacobs, a younger guy in the Bay Area at the time, who was much more liberal, and he said that could color the way things were, too, but that Joan Quigley was a very conservative Republican and that Nancy consulted with her often.
Jeff?
Well, I don't know. I've heard that name bantered around. What I can attest to is I know for a fact Ronald Reagan himself was working with Carol Reiter. And again, like I said, Carol Reiter, he just passed away a few years ago. Very famous astrologer, and it was very much kept on the inside of Hollywood. Again, it's reported Glenn Ford, Robert Mitchum was a ghostwriter for him in the 40s. So it's late 30s or early 40s. So he was the one Reagan used.
All right, I got to get to Dino. I got to get to these phone calls, Dino. Thank you so much, brother.
I hope I added to the discussion.
Thank you, Dino. All right, let's just going to go in order. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jeff Harman.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, how are you?
I'm just fine. How are you?
I'm all right. So what can I help you with?
Well, I'd like to know what future holds for me.
Okay.
My name's Beverly.
Okay.
Sure. Can you be real specific about anything particular that you're wanting to know?
Well, I was in the hospital for 10 days, and I had pneumonia really bad. And I had to come home with oxygen. And I'm wondering if I'll have to wear it forever or if I can get off of it.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
That's one of the jobs of the astrologers, to narrow it down a bit. See, now, sixth house is health. I got to tell you, I think, let me just look at this here. Boy, you have been sick. This has been going on a while, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, it has. Here's some good news for you, and I'm not just saying this to make you feel good, because I would tell you, because it's valuable also to know if you're not going to get better. It shows you are going to get better here, and it shows it's going to take somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks, if I'm calculating this right. You actually move into a much stronger place. It's a slow recovery. So you had pneumonia, yeah. Are you on any meds?
I'm on
medications.
Yeah, I'm on prednisone for my breathing.
Yeah. Well, you definitely don't want to mix herbs with medications unless you check with your doctor. But you know what it looks like here is definitely you had some real lung issues, and check with your doctor to make sure. You might want to look into something called osha root. That is an Ayurvedic herb that really helps expand the lungs. But again, don't do that because you can make a tea out of it, and it's really wonderful to open up the lungs. Licorice root does that too. It's an actual like wooded root, but don't take them unless the doctor approves it because you can actually cause more danger with combining herbs and meds than just sticking with the meds. Pharmacists know a lot about that too, but it shows you're going to get better.
There you go. What's your name?
Beverly.
Oh, hey, Bev. All right, Bev. See, there you go. Thank you so much, Bev, and it's good to hear your voice.
Oh, it's good to hear yours, too.
I'll talk to you, Bev.
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Love you, Jimmy.
Love you back, Bev. And now, with that, let's go ahead. I'm going to bring in the next call. I'm going to jump into this next commercial break. So I'm going to do everything at once, Jeff, and then we'll pick everything up on the backside. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight is Fader Night, taking your calls all night long. Astrologer Jeff Harman is here. And we're taking your calls, 323-825-5045. And we're talking about the election as well, and Nancy Reagan and all things Washington, D.C. and astrological. I'll be right back. Stay right there.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Not being able to fall asleep is so frustrating. The tossing, the turning, the adjustment of pillows and blankets. Eventually you just decide to get up and start your day really early. It doesn't have to be this way though. Power Sleep is an all-natural non-prescription formula that will help you sleep like a baby. It contains neurotransmitter nutrients that promote the production of serotonin, which is responsible for feelings of well-being. Power Sleep is easy to digest and absorb and is made in a base of active probiotics. Don't miss another night of sleep. Order your Power Sleep at EnergyWave.com or call 800-TURTLE-5. Add Power Vites to your cart while you're browsing. Perfect for Monday mornings. They're a complete multivitamin and mineral formula that will give you the energy you need to get through your day. Nourish your immune system and feel great. Get all the info and place your order at EnergyWave.com. Enter code word SLEEP to get free shipping. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. That goes Lewis to the wall, and it's all here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Tonight's Fader Night. Our guest tonight, Jeff Harman, astrologer, taking your calls all night long, talking politics and the election and what the charts are saying about all of that. We know that Nancy Reagan certainly had an interest in this. And, Jeff, I got to tell you, I've got a bunch of questions lined up here in Twitter about this. So let's take this next call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jeff Harman.
Hey, Jimmy Church, I just want to say your show's totally awesome, man.
Thank you. But it's because of Jeff Harman. It's not me. Anybody could come in and do the show when you have a guest like Jeff Harman.
Jeff, hey, I have a question for you. How's my money situation going to be? Because our company's going through structural change right now, so I was just curious about that.
And what was your name?
What's your, so I can kind of log this.
What was your name?
Nathan.
Hey, Nathan, how are you, man? So
Good,
Nathan's concerned about money, his future, his company is going through some restructuring. Is it a
company? What kind of company is it, Nathan?
It's a tissue bank.
Uh-huh.
Not like Kleenex tissue, like human donated tissue.
Okay.
Donated tissue.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah, it shows that it's been some kind of disruption lately, hasn't there?
Big time.
Yeah, big time. It just happened too.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the news. Yeah, it's going to come back. It's you got to readjust from this. Wow, what did they do? Hit you with some kind of regulations or something, or what?
Well, the situation is that it's just restructuring, pretty much. You know what I mean? It's like company changes. You know.
It looked like something to do with regulations caused it. That's what I'm getting here in the chart anyhow. It looks like you are going to come around. It's going to be this summer is when things pick up, maybe sooner than that. But the good news is the crap storm has moved east. I can, boy, you went through some pretty challenging stuff here is what it shows. The good news is I think it's going to get better. It looks positive. And I think you will see a turnaround. There's still some financial stuff, according to this, that might have to be restructured a little bit, but I think you're going to start turning around here soon.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you for the call, Nathan.
I wish you the best. Can I interject, Jimmy? I found something for you on the break that actually validates and corroborates Ronald Reagan's use of astrology as well as Nancy's. You want to hear that? Or
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, just so you know, my source on this is actually it's headed "Reagan Became Forever Linked with Astrology," and this is actually published in a book by Donald Reagan, who was, of course, the I believe the Secretary of State at the time, who then was fired. He wrote a book, Where's the Rest of Me? And in that book, he says in 1965 that he quotes exactly what I was quoting, and I know from firsthand Reagan was working with Carroll Ryder because I knew Carroll Ryder and some of his people. And the interesting thing is he said there was a deep friendship with Carroll Ryder, and noting that the married couple read astrology charts all the time, and that President Reagan never wanted to publicly reveal this. Secondly, he never wanted to reveal his exact birth time as a precaution against letting people read his charts and perhaps controlling him. And I know I've had a lot of that issue with certain people in political areas. They don't want any of their birth information revealed for that purpose. They don't want anybody knowing timing on them. So what's interesting is in this book, it's certainly one corroboration, and then there's another corroboration here where in 1967, Ronald Reagan chose the strange hour, like I said, 10 minutes after midnight, to basically replace the outgoing governor, Pat Brown, with his inauguration or signing in time. And he made a big deal out of that. And I distinctly remember hearing about that. So that's all in that book. There's also another book here, I think, that was written in the 80s, too. There was, now it was actually, I believe, Nancy had a warning that her husband was going to be shot, and that...
Well, I also remember, this is what, my memory about this, because my mom was, out of her mind, crazy cool, right? And talked about this stuff constantly. And I remember, I was probably about 9 years old. And I remember my mom talking about Gene Dixon and Richard Nixon, and Gene Dixon with Nancy Reagan, and Gene Dixon had consulted and said something, had predicted some things that happened during Nixon's last days about the Olympics in Munich was predicted, and I remember all of this specifically going down right in a row, and then that Nancy Reagan was talking to Gene Dixon, and I remember my mom sitting around the table with my aunts and uncles, and they would talk about this crazy stuff. And I'd be sitting in the living room watching Gilligan's Island, listening to their conversation. And
I love
yeah, it was all about the Oval Office and astrology. I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Reagan did not want that out. He wanted to keep the lid on that.
Now, what about, is it possible, what did the charts say? And this is a question in Twitter. What did the chart say about a possible wild card coming in into the election that isn't, currently in the running?
Well, I don't get that that's going to happen. I think what happened was, it's long been known that there are certain power groups vying to get control of the White House, and I think somebody else is trying to put. I actually think Trump is going to prevail here. It's almost kind of like by default. A lot of people don't like him, but a lot of people do, and I don't see that. I could be wrong, but I don't see it. If it hasn't happened already, Bloomberg was that wild card. I don't think Mitt Romney's ever going to run. They're really pushing to get Cruz in there, and he is making a dent. There's a concerted effort right now to take Trump out. No doubt about it.
What's in Cruz's charts?
Well, okay. Now Cruz has an interesting chart. He's actually a really smart guy. He's not a dull tool at all. But he's in a really weak period astrologically. He's in a period that gives him a lot of sustaining power, but he doesn't have anything progressing in his chart that would really show that he'd win the election. I could be wrong, but I'm not seeing it. It's not strong enough. The one who does, believe it or not, is Donald Trump. He's got a primary direction. And when I use the word primary direction, that's a very ancient type of astrology. The Egyptians and the Vedic astrologers used. The first 6 hours after birth equals the next 90 years of life. And it basically is a totally different type of astrology where you literally ascend the astrology from the eastern horizon. Modern astrologers use what we call a converse chart. So the primary directions are much, much older and much harder to calculate. And again, that's why I say I think the air was cleaner back then. And Trump has the primary directed ascendant conjuncting his sun in the midheaven. And he's the only one, because I've done a lot of study on Cruz, on Rubio, on Hillary, Bernie Sanders, and again, Kasich. Didn't spend too much time at Ben Carson because I didn't think he really had anything going on. And though a good guy, and that's exactly what showed. I can tell you, Kasich actually has more power than he's getting in reality. In other words, I thought he'd do better than he is.
I think Kasich, you watch, that's going to be Trump's running mate. I see that, and I only say that because he's never said anything to make anybody mad. It's like he just wants to be friends with everybody up there. So when somebody needs a running mate, it's going to be Kasich. That's just me, but it seems like he set himself.
Trump hits a Jupiter period in Vedic. See, in Vedic astrology, there's something called doshas. It's a strange word that means Time Lord. And it's really a fascinating calculation. It's based off the moon. It's believed the soul passes through the moon before it's tied in by the guardian angel into the body, even though it's attached to it at conception. So in that ancient model, I've always questioned that until I had a son and actually witnessed some very interesting paranormal things that were very, very divine when my son was born. But the Vedic astrology uses that model. And Trump hits a Jupiter major period. This, what is it? There, I'm going to go back and look. I think it comes in this September. Yes, it does. Actually, no, it's in October, right before the election. So even though he's having a rough time with acceptance, a lot of people disliking him, he actually has the astrology that by default kind of shows he may slide in there.
Interesting. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jeff Harman. Who's calling?
Hello, Jeff Harman. How you doing? This is Jose.
Hey, Jose. Say hi to Jeff.
How you doing? Hey, Jeff. Hi, Jimmy. How you
doing? Good.
Hey. Yeah. Good. I just have a question about myself. I just started like an internet website to sell my images and stuff, and I just wanted to see what you can see as far as it actually taking off.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, good luck. That's great.
Interesting. Hey, Jose, what do you think about Andrew Bashago in the election? Do you think he might be the wild card?
It would be very interesting. I think with what Jeff said a little bit earlier about him hearing one of his clients telling him that Barack had said that he would be president, kind of validates some of the things that Bashago has said in the past, don't you think?
Yeah, it just feels kind of weird, you know. And it also, I was watching John Teeter pop up here in Twitter, the comments about Teeter. And if you think about, you know, all of the outrageous things that he was saying that were freaking us out back in 2000 about, you know, the revolution and war and China and Russia and how this is going to play out. And you think about where we are right now in 2016, how we're teetering on the edge of it seems like collapse, and what's going on with Russia and China and North Korea. That I mean, could it actually play out like Teeter had predicted back then, and how he said it would play out, at least in that timeline? Very interesting. All right, Jeff, what have you got for Jose?
Well, Jose, it looks like it's a good site. Looks very good. You got to find ways to drive people to it, and that would probably, I would tell you that without astrology, but that's exactly what the astrology says. It says you've got to find ways to get more traffic to it. But it looks good. I think I don't see anything here that shows it's not going to fly. It looks good. I wish you the best of luck. It shows for some reason late this fall is when you're really going to get this thing cooking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Right around, I don't know if there's some show you got planned here or something, but it looks like that's going to be a catalyst that's really going to make it fly for you. And you know, any way you can get out there physically, is this art, or you say just photographic images, or how does that work?
Yes, it's photographic images, just landscape stuff about America, places I've been to, national parks, and so on. Things like that, yeah. Yeah. So I was just interested, just started it and see if it was going to go anywhere. So
it looks like it will. Not right away. It looks like you got to find a vehicle here, and something is likely to pop up that's not on the radar screen right now this fall, which will help you try and get something in a magazine or something where you can get recognition on this, because it shows something like that's coming your way.
There you go, Jose. And
right.
I was going to ask Jeff to check the charts to see if you actually had talent, but I know the answer to that. Jose, you have a great night, my brother.
Hey. All right, guys. Take care, okay? Have a good night.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Let's stay on the phones, Jeff. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jeff Harman.
Hello there, Jeff. And Jimmy, how are you?
Hey, everything is good, man. Who's calling?
Yeah, this is Captain. How are you, sir?
Oh, hey, Captain. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Listen, I need to ask Jeff, what do you see in my future 5 years from now? And I'm in the southwest, and I want to know what is my status.
Okay, there you go. Hey, Captain, what do you while Jeff is checking that out? What do you think about Bashago in the election? Do you think he's going to have an effect?
Yes, I think he's going to have an effect. I think he's going to say some things that's going to make reporters ask him more about Obama, and I really believe that.
Yeah, I think I think that there's enough people talking about Andrew now that eventually, soon. I'm not talking about in years. I mean, in the next month or two, his name is going to start coming up, and that's what I think. And I think he's going to have an effect. Is he going to get elected? I don't even think he has said that that's actually what's going to happen. No. I don't
think he's going to get elected, but I do know that he's going to play a very pivotal role in getting this thing called NESARA announced. And that's what's going to happen. NESARA is the National Economics, Security, and Reformation Act. And that's what's going to happen. And so he's allowing that to happen.
Okay, there you go. Are you ready for Captain there, Jeff?
I am. It looks like here about a year and a half is when something really starts kicking in good for you. Something really artistic and creative is coming your way is what it shows.
Okay, Captain.
On the radar screen like that, but that's what it shows. Speculate with entertainment or investing in something like that. It could be film. It could be something definitely artistic and creative. I don't know what it is.
Sir, I'm glad you said that because I have a partner who was he's retired. He was in the Hollywood scene, and he brought me a manuscript about the future, and it seems like I'll be working with him on getting this film done about UFOs.
Oh, there you go.
Look, a documentary film, could even be a feature film. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. It takes, if I'm reading this chart right, timing is not always exact, but it looks like it's definitely coming. And I would say approximately, am I correct here? Yeah, about a year and a half.
There you go, Captain. And Captain, thank you for the phone call, brother.
Well, very good. Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's interesting, Jeff, how you could have landed anywhere with different different opportunities, but you went right there with film and creativity, and that's exactly what he's dealing with. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jeff Harman. Who's calling?
Hi, Jeff. This is Nelson.
Hey, Nelson. Say hi to Jeff. Everything's good?
Hi, Milton. How are you?
I actually I wanted to bring up a quick point. Have you heard about John McAfee running as an independent? I mean, actually running as a libertarian.
If I heard of who, it's hard to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. John McAfee.
John McAfee?
Like McAfee. McAfee virus scan.
Yeah, John McAfee.
That John McAfee.
Yeah, McAfee.
Oh, McAfee.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Have you heard about him running, Jeff?
I have, but I don't think anything's going to come of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've heard several people, wanting to get in, but I think it's kind of where it's at. I mean, anybody could jump in, but I think it's kind of where it's at. I think the players are on the map right now that are going to get anywhere.
Well, I thought McAfee was living outside of the country, too, as well, isn't he? I didn't even think he was back in the United States.
Ventura would like to run again, but I don't think he's going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
No, he was on another show I was listening to the other day, actually.
McAfee?
He actually come in. Hello?
Yeah, McAfee was on another show the other day.
Maybe that's where I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was sometime last week. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about that he could crack the iPhone code.
No, he wasn't. I didn't hear that.
Oh, well, that's what. Yeah, I had read that. I had read that last week that he said that he could crack the iPhone code. That the FBI should go to him and he could get that done. And you know what?
I have a theory about that.
Yeah, he probably could. Thank you for the phone call, Nelson.
All right, no problem, buddy.
I'll talk to you. Do you know who John Teeter is, Jeff?
No, I don't.
Okay. John Teeter was a time traveler that showed up in 1999 and 2000 and on a bunch of forums on the web. And posted pictures and documents and so forth. There's a lot more to the story than what I'm presenting to you here. But then he left. He said that he was from 2036 and that we had gone through a revolution and so forth, and that he was in the Army. He was in the military, and that he was on a mission from 2036 to go back and get a specific IBM computer from 1975 that he had to get because they needed it in 2036 to fix a computer problem. And that he did a drive-by to 1999, right, on his way back to 2036 to visit himself and his family in 1999. And while he was here, he started posting and literally said, okay, without getting into details, I'm here. I'm going to be here for a little bit. Ask me anything, right? And they did just that. The forums lit up, and he went into details about the future, the past, why he was here, how his time machine ran, who built it, who, what, when, where, and why, and all of that. Now, and then he left. He left about 3 months later and hasn't been heard from since, well, at least at that level. And again, there's more to the story than that. Is there any way that you can look into with the information that I just gave you about John Teeter,
Yeah.
T-I-T-O-R?
Yeah, what I can do is cast a chart and let's see. So you're saying, is John Teeter valid, it sounds like?
Well, without going there, yeah, John Teeter's real. Sure.
Okay. Or are you trying to say is what he said accurate? Or
Is there any future for him, literally, with time travel? Is he going to come back anytime soon? Are we going to have any more interaction with him? Is he back to where he is in 2036? Well, now he would be in, if it was 2036. See, this is where it gets funky. That was 15 years ago. So would he actually be in 2000? Would he be in 2050 now? Yeah, I guess he would, because it would be 16 years later. No, yeah. I don't know. See, now we're messing with my head. But what do you have on John Teeter?
Well, I tell you right off the bat, I would say this chart. See, one of the ways you can tell if reports and rumors are true, because that's been a big part of astrology for a long time, is if the meridian and IC are fixed in an interrogation chart, and they are. So I don't think this guy was a figment or a trickster. He looks to be valid. In other words, I don't, and you seem to affirm that. You feel that way as well. So he showed up on forums, is what you're saying, right?
Yes, he did. Oh, yeah, there was somebody absolutely on forums answering questions. Was that guy real? Absolutely. You know.
Yeah, he was. That's what the chart shows, too. And it also shows he what he said is accurate. In other words, I don't think he was someone I like to refer to as channeling Zulu from Zeton, which is, sometimes you do get people who channel things that are very erroneous. This actually looks pretty good. Yeah, this guy I don't think was blowing smoke at all. No, he looks accurate. It looks like he was a decent guy, too. It's interesting when he talks about a revolution, it actually shows more like war.
Yes, he did. That's exactly what he talked about.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this chart shows. And the reason why, you'll see, Jimmy, that astrology is very symbolic. It's almost like looking at a radar screen. Someone looking at weather looks for weather patterns. It's the same thing in a chart. And what this shows is that there's likely to be a war. And, I hate to say this because I certainly am against spreading any type of what they call fear porn, which the internet is way too full of.
Right.
But this chart does show that there's going to be some pretty serious upset. And, it's interesting, your vision before about you can't see anyone winning. There's enough executive orders in place right now where Barack Obama could stand forever as emperor. I mean, there's been so many executive orders rubber stamped, and many people have been concerned about that. If there ever was a really big event, and this is a year, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there certainly could be some real events. This whole situation over there, the North Korean thing is one thing, but another thing that's going on is China, which is now affecting the passage of the South Pacific Seas over there for passageway for goods. And when you start upsetting commerce, that is one way you'll see the military get real involved. And, of course, we're now moving a major part of our fleet over there. I'm sure you've heard of that. And this year, astrologers use a technique called the revolutions of the year. And we literally cast a chart at the spring equinox, and that is the chart for the year. And I have to say, that's in a very short 11 days from now. Actually, it's 10 days from now. It's March 20th, is when the sun ingresses into the first zodiacal sign of Aries. And you cast a chart for the country. And, of course, what we do is cast it in Washington, D.C. This year looks like a very eventful year. It does not look, not only is the election going to be a nail-biter, and I think a very, very intense one, I think also we're going to see some real trouble over there. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more issues in the Middle East as well. This whole ISIS thing is a lot bigger than I think it's being portrayed right now. The whole U.S. media is focused on this presidential election.
Well, let's jump in right there. We're going to take a quick break. His website is jeffharman.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. More of your phone calls and Jeff Harman right after this short break. Stay with us.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
If your home has hard water and it's leaving white spots, then it's likely that limescale is clogging your pipes. Limescale can cost hundreds of dollars a year in wasted energy and early appliance breakdown. HydroCare systems available at Wave Home Solutions prevent and remove limescale with just a simple filter change every 3 years. There are no salts, chemicals, or magnetic coils. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, just go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
If you're a talk radio fan, AccessRadio.net lets you listen to the best talk shows anytime and from anywhere. Works on your mobile or landline phone, and there's no cost if you have unlimited minutes. No need to use your data. Find your favorite talk show listen lines and discover new ones. Now you can listen on your schedule. Go to AccessRadio.net. That's AccessRadio.net. Save your favorite listen lines today.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie MacDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high-quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony. Damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Tonight's Fader Night. Taking your calls all night long. We have guest Jeff Harman with us, talking a little astrology. Man, jumped into some teeter. You gotta love a little teeter conversation. Let's go straight back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jeff Harman. Who's calling?
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Show.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, I wanted to kind of tie in Jimmy, the first thing you went over in the beginning of the show regarding time was just excellent. And I think that there's a potential tie-in with something else that I know that Jeff is involved in called remote viewing that I'd like to get his read on. In other words, the time that you were talking about as far as you only have so much, well, that's obviously within the right now. But in a total perspective of time, you look at the astrological cycles, excuse me, and how all of them go in and out, and they have their own individual expression and energy, which is what astrology is about. Jeff, how does something like remote viewing tie into something potential like what Jimmy was just talking about as far as Peter and time in general? Do you see any kind of...
Yeah.
Is there any correlation there?
Yes, there is. In fact, I've worked with some very advanced remote viewing groups, both who are actually active in service and who aren't. And it's interesting. We have logged extensive databases on what makes targets more discernible with astrology. And we've certainly found the moon is huge, certain fixed stars are huge, and certain ascensional times during the day. And the most important thing that showed up was how the mundane time, when I say mundane, that's the astrology that's happening every day. The reason we have sunrise, noon, sunset, midnight is not because the sun is rising, setting. It's because the earth is rolling around on its axis. So we found that how that lines up with whoever's doing the remote viewing is huge, and time travel as well. So I haven't worked with anybody per se in time travel except in remote viewing time travel. And that's interesting stuff because, Camille and I were talking on the break about Andrew Passaggio, how he had actually said he saw Obama, again, on a different planet, which is to answer your question, Robert, there's a huge correlation between the ascensional times daily and also the cycles of the remote viewer.
And so as cycles within astrology, which is, the planetary and cosmos energies, which basically the charts are they define, or they at least give some kind of metrics to, so that you can, when you look at charts and the positions of, different houses and different planetary alignments, those cycles repeat over time.
They do, but then again, there's certain cycles in ancient astrology that never repeat. And I found that certain remote viewers are really hot during certain very powerful progressions. Now, sometimes those will never repeat the same way again in their lives. And I think what you're referring to is transits, which are daily, and also there's many cycles, like Mars is every 2 years, it goes around your chart. Right. Jupiter's every 12 years. Saturn's everyone knows about Saturn returns. That happens every 28 and a half years approximately. So those are the big hour hands on the clock. And, those really.
So when you see people like Basiago and then Peter, who, there's different aspects of different concepts of time travel. And going back to Jimmy's point about, at the beginning monologue, about making sure that what you're doing is taking advantage of and being in the present now and taking the most positive advantage of it. If the possibility of remote viewing, which is essentially transcending in a consciousness state, time and space, then could both Basiago's experience with time travel and Peter be of the same thing, the same kind of manifestation of time?
Yeah, that's interesting. And what was your name again?
My name's Robert.
Robert, man, you need to get into radio with those pipes you got. I got to tell you. But Jeff, he brings up a really good point. When you're dealing with people that have travel time, can you tie that in? And is there reference with time, a reference that can be charted?
Yes, there is. In fact, time, really, there is no time. When you think about time as we know it, the three-dimensional 5-sense space, if you look at the most accurate calendar is the solar lunar calendar. The years, that's why we have leap years. Of course, we just had one this year, right? So time is a relative construct. It's a man-made construct. And when you look at what makes a day, well, it's the eastern horizon rolling over. Well, if you live in Alaska, your day is completely different than it is for us here in West Los Angeles.
Right,
so
right,
it depends. Right. It's all a reality. It's all a relative reality. And astrology, one of the things I really, speaking about your mother, how much you loved her, about my mother, and I just absolutely love my mother. She actually broke me into astrology in the mid-'70s, and it took me a long time to really get my head around this stuff. And relating to Robert's question here, one of the most interesting things has been working with remote viewers to see their reality at the time that they're doing something and what they get. It's all energies. Astrology really could be best summed up as a very complex reality machine. I always say, forget Trinity, Neo, and Morpheus. This is the real matrix when you start getting into the ancient stuff, because it's really kind of mind-boggling just how complex the ancient astrology is. It's amazing when you start adding fixed stars, ascensional rates. Ascensional rates, see, modern astrology just uses aspects, and it sounds like, Robert, you're pretty familiar with astrology. You know about houses and trines and sextiles and all that. The ascensional, it's called primary directions. For someone born in Chicago versus someone born, say, in Miami or in a different area of the world, the ascensional rates in their charts are completely different, and they're always going to be different because of where they were born. It's almost like the soul is printed, or the spirit-soul complex is printed to the body at that point in time. It's like a Polaroid snapshot. So with remote viewers, I found that really matters, where they are, when they're doing something, and the time they commence it.
Hey, Robert, what do you do?
Well, I do a number of things. I've just gotten into doing some voiceover. I do technical work, and I produce. I'm a musician. One of those eclectic old souls is spinning around in life and having a great time.
Well, it sounds like you're really well grounded. And so what is it that, are you into astrology, or are you just into alternative subjects in general? Because
I'm into the...
Well, for you to, I'm only asking because for you to drop Teeter, right, and for you to drop Bishago and drop charts and drop time travel and remote viewing, these are all the subjects that we discuss every night on this show, as you know. And so I was just wondering about your background, because you are definitely researching and knowledgeable in all of these different subjects.
Well, they're so fascinating, and I've been fortunate in life to be able to experience a wide variety of different things. I've traveled the world. I've lived in my car. I've lived on a homestead. I've had some great experiences in the corporate world. And now I'm a grandpa, and I'm just enjoying life and taking all those things and saying, wow, let's look at that. Let's spend more time trying to understand this particular subject or one of these. Because one of the things I've found for sure, and this is true, and Jeff knows this too, most of what we've been taught and told has had so many machinations by the time it gets to us. And it's been contorted and configured in a way to, keep a low information, to coin or to use something that's been coined lately, low information people. And people like Jeff and the understanding and the knowledge and the skills of the craft that he knows is an extremely important, goes back a long, long way. Long before a lot of this craft that we know now actually, became what it is. And even back then at the beginning, a lot of it was initially crafted. But that's what you find when you take an open mind and you look around and you go, I thought about this, but there's all this other information. Let's see what else is out there. And the more you look, the more you find that, that's not really the way it was or the way it is. And this conversation that you can have with Jeff tonight and the various callers that have come in proves another aspect of knowledge and information that has been contorted and not properly presented for the science that it is, for the truth it is, and for the longevity it is. So I really appreciate the opportunity. It's been great to listen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Robert. And, really quick, my daughter Diana is listening right now, so I'm going to give a shout out. I can do this because it's my frigging show. My daughter Deanna and Narek are listening right now, and so there's the shout out. And I'm just wondering, as she's listening, my daughter with her friend, how many excuses she has to make for her dad right now. Well, he's really not that weird. Or, he's really a cool guy. Or, I can hear it all right now. It's just kind of funny. And I hope I'm not embarrassing her too much.
You're really a smart guy is what you are. I got your chart here.
You got my chart?
Yeah. You got an exalted merchant. There's no question. I mean, you're a great communicator, and I find that with you. You have. I'll show you. We're going to be together Saturday night. I'll show you. You have a Raj Yoga in the second house, and that speech. And I think what I like the most about you, Jimmy, is how you respect your audience. You're really warm and congenial, and that's because you got Jupiter in the 8th house aspecting that. So you fit your chart. I'm always amazed at how accurate Vedic astrology is. It's profound. I have many clients that are psychologists, psychiatrists, and we just love this stuff because it's kind of like what Robert just brought up. It's bending reality. You literally are looking at life from a perspective that just isn't looked at and accepted in normal society. And I'm blessed to have been, exposed to this.
Well, you know what's funny? Since you mentioned it, Jeff and his wife are going to be over at Casa Day Church Saturday night for one of our evenings. And one of the cool things about what we do when we do this, Jeff, is that we like to mix it up and get. This Saturday we're going to have a psychic, we're going to have an astrologer, we're going to have a dream consultant, we're going to have a ufologist, we're going to have a cryptozoologist researcher, and get everybody really, really drunk, stuffed full of food, and then let the conversation commence. It's not really, really drunk, but it's the ceremony of the moment, and that's what all of it is about. And I really look forward to you coming over with Camille and participating in what always is an amazing meal. And Rita was saying today, she goes, we should start videotaping these dinners of ours. And I was like, that's not a bad idea, actually. Yeah. It's almost like a TV show. It's like it would be like the Anthony Bourdain of the alternative.
There you go, right.
And get everybody together and just it could almost be a PBS type of show. It would be really funny. Now, a couple of questions for you, Jeff, really quick before we get back to the phones. Is what are some of the great in-depth resources to learn about historical, Vedic, and ancient astrology? What can you tell our listeners? What's the best resources?
Well, there's a lot of them, and I actually have a huge library of ancient books. Again, I got into this in the 70s. I was actually a skeptic. I was into electronics, and I had a recording studio. We did filming and commercials back in the Midwest, and I had some wonderful experiences. Got to record people like George Carlin, Mother Teresa along the way. It was really great, but I never really believed in astrology. And what happened was my mother in the 70s, she started telling me, Jeffrey, this girlfriend's not going to work, and then I would get another one, and she would just absolutely describe her to the T. And I said, what are you doing? I want to learn this. So I did. And it was, back then it was BC, it was before computers, and we were casting charts by hand. And the more I got into it, my skepticism dissolved. And when I had my studio in the 80s, I really was casting as many charts as I could, and I started cracking into the more ancient astrology. When I say more ancient, it's the old court astrologers, basically from, I'd say, the Holy Land all the way up through Arabia, through Italy. Germany was huge, Austria, England. The whole European continent is just rich back to probably the 1st century A.D. with incredible astrology. And believe it or not, they were trying to save the ancient astrology. In fact, in the 4th century, some of the stuff that came out of Egypt and Babylonia is astounding. I have many, and I'm constantly getting updates from various translation groups, and I'm always comparing notes. And some of it's very, very interesting to pursue. They were even reading thoughts, and not so much to read someone's mind, but to see what was on their consciousness. And Vedic astrology is a whole other world. That has a history quite far back. In fact, there's so many ancient documents there that no one can even translate them anymore. But it's to answer a question like that is not easy, because what I find is modern astrology certainly has virtue, but I call it love, light, and cluelessness compared to the old stuff. It's just the ancient astrology is so rich, not because it's ancient, but it's extremely detailed, and it uses a cohesive system that's you just can't make this stuff up. In fact, this is where it gets back into some of the stuff that happened, what I believe the destruction of the temple in Israel. There's a lot more to that than meets the eye, because when you get into the ancient astrology, you start tying into angels, you start tying into demons, you start tying into karmas and things that you just cannot. You can actually get your guardian angel from the birth chart. It's amazing stuff, and I guess there's one of my more favorite sources is an 11th century astrologer named Guido Bonatti, and he was actually mentioned in Dante's Inferno. But there's many. I have many that are always favorites of mine, and I would say look to classical and traditional astrology in the West, and look to Vedic and Nadi astrology in the Jyotish area. And there's many books. but fun stuff. And I never stop learning. In fact, I'm always humbled that there's no two charts alike, and every individual is completely unique.
Yeah,
before I do a reading for a client, I don't take it lightly. I've had astrologers say to me, I spend 5 minutes before I get on the phone with them. I spend minimum 30 minutes charting, and that's with powerful computer programs that allow me to do that. Because, that's a person's life, and I take it very seriously, and I don't want to tell them erroneous information. I want to help them. And that's what it was really designed to do, was aid someone so that they could navigate and mitigate challenges and grow their strengths. It's a wonderful, inspirational tool.
Somebody just sent me an email, dude. You do not tell him not to read your chart for us. I'm like, you know what? I just can't go there. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to you.
You have a great chart. You really do. And I'm not saying that because we're on the air. I would tell you, you actually have a real spiritual element here. There's something in Vedic astrology called moksha. Moksha means attaining enlightenment. I work a lot in clearing properties, helping people with something called Vastu. Vastu may be it is the grandfather of Feng Shui. And it's adjusting energies for businesses and for clients. And I can tell you, one of the things in Vedic astrology is called moksha. And it's about spirituality, and that's why you do paranormal stuff. You have the moon in the 12th house, and what that means in plain English is that's a soul that's been to this barbecue at times. And what happens is when you drop the body, known as death, the ancient Shastras, which are the Vedic scriptures, if you will, say that this soul will achieve a higher state of enlightenment, which is what moksha means in Sanskrit. So it's interesting because you and I both have the moon in the 12th house, and I noticed that there's a congeniality to you that I think that's probably why listeners like you, is because you do care. You're not just doing it to be politically correct. You really do. And your Jupiter aspects your moon and your Mercury. I'll show you the chart Saturday when I come over.
Yeah, I look forward to it. But I kind of look at this show kind of like it's the Wayne's World of paranormal. That's me. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jeff Harman.
Hi, Jeff. How are you? And hello, Federonauts, Rita, and Jimmy. Thank you so much for being there. I kind of feel like I know so much, and I love so much. I kind of feel like Vidra from Star Trek. I'm all alone, and I was wondering, Jeff, if maybe you knew my destiny or what I should do or how I can help. I really thank you so much.
Okay.
I love you all so much.
Yeah, and what was your name, by the way?
Yeah.
This is Miss X.
Oh, hey, I thought it might have been you, but I wouldn't want to call somebody Miss X if they weren't Miss X, right? So there you go. All right, Jeff, what's in the future for Miss X?
So, are you there?
Yes.
I'm here.
Yeah. Sorry, the phone for some reason glitched. I have to say, for the show, I'm using something called interrogation astrology, which works very well. But a deeper way is if I do a reading on you. Like if I had your birth data, that would get kind of lengthy. Because a question like you're asking is very, very... I think far-reaching. You're saying, what is your destiny? I can tell you right off the bat, you do know a lot is what it shows. If finding a way to help people would probably be a real good way to go here. You've got a lot of drive, is what this chart shows. You're really driven, aren't you?
Very.
Yeah, what it shows. And it's kind of like it fits what you're asking. You're like a rocket on a launch pad. You're just looking for a direction to shoot it, and that's what I would say is. Have you ever gotten into psychology or self-help of any kind, coaching?
I write a lot of psychology. I've been around. Been around the planet a few times.
Their direction would be good. Real good. Writing would be good, too. That would be real good. I would really, in your case, want to look at your chart, which I would then need your birthday. But whenever I cast an astrological chart, I need your month, day, year, your city of birth, and also the time you're born. And most people will find it on the birth certificate. In those rare occasions that you don't have on the birth certificate, I can do what we call a rectification, which literally I ask questions about certain events in your life and time periods, and then I can read the energy and usually get real close. And sometimes I get right down to the second. But I would say in general here, that's the direction that I would be heading into is find ways to channel your knowledge into self-help, awakening, and making people utilize their self-worth. In a way, it's a little bit, you kind of got a Tony Robbins, not that you're parallel to him, but you kind of got that kind of drive.
There you go. Any other questions, Miss X?
Things that I do know, I have a lot of fear exposing, because they're a little bit above and beyond, kind of like things Jimmy delves into and what our Bill used to do a long time ago. Things,
I like that.
Things come to me that I don't ask for. I could go on Google Earth and find several hundred things, and there's people on the radio and writing books about things I've seen a year ago or yesterday. Things in the desert, things in space, people I can look at. I can tell you so much about someone that I don't have to say a word. Animals come to me, butterflies flicker on me. I've been this way all my life. I don't know the time I was born. I was born in October like Jimmy. October 16th.
It shows you've got a lot of pent-up drive and that you could really channel this into something that would be constructive to help people with, is what it shows.
Miss X,
write a book.
Miss X, thank you for the phone call. And
you're welcome, Jimmy. Thank you for allowing me to call.
Absolutely, and we'll see you on Monday. But until then, just have a great, safe weekend.
You too, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What an amazing phone call. And I wanted to say before we head to this break, you want to stay on with us for another 10, 15 more minutes after the break and take some more calls?
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. We got a little bit of a late start anyhow with the technology problem.
Yeah, right. I'm having a great time. And somebody just tweeted, I'm not going to say who, but somebody just tweeted, he is excellent. He did my chart. And for the first reading in 63 years, that he actually told me something I didn't know. How cool is that? How cool is that? See, Jeff.
That always makes me feel good. I'm always been in the entertainment business, and I've always tried to walk away from astrology, but it keeps pulling me back.
It's kind of like The Godfather, right?
Like that. It helps people.
Yes, it's like The Godfather. All right. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, taking your phone calls all night long. 323-825-5045. Jeff Harman is our guest. More with Jeff right after this short break. You stay right there.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter. But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Angioprim can clean blocked arteries and improve blood flow in all parts of your body. Angioprim is liquid oral chelation. It's not new science. 50 years of research has gone into chelation, and now there's Angioprim. Easy, simple, liquid oral chelation. You take it with juice before breakfast and forget about it. Angioprim works fast, unlike old-fashioned chelation that takes hours. The first thing Angioprim users say is they have more energy, more strength, more endurance. Increased circulation and blood flow will make all your body parts work better. Log on now at angioprim.com to get more information on how you can get started and start feeling better and doing more. Lots more. Talk to a trained Angioprim consultant or go to angioprim.com for help. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. That's Angioprim at 877-882-7221. Get the facts about Angioprim. Begin living the life you want, doing the things you used to do again with Angioprim.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99, and you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, JimmyChurchRadio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. 323-825-5045. Taking your calls. Our guest tonight is Jeff Harman. And I do want to say to everybody in Louisiana and Shreveport and all of our listeners out there, stay dry. I heard the sun came out today. That is just gnarly. 2 feet of rain. Unbelievable. All right, let's go back to the phones.
George Carlin used to be stationed.
Okay, are you guys just rapping on hold? Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Who were you speaking to? The caller, Jeff?
No, I was talking to you.
Oh. Well, you were on hold.
The caller.
I know. You guys were muted and on hold. And I heard the George Carlin comment, and I thought you and the caller somehow were connected and just sitting there in the background
you
rapping.
Shreveport. I said my wife Camille was born there, and she was showing me the pictures today of all the flooding, those poor people.
Right.
And I also George Carlin. That's where he was stationed in the military.
Oh, see, I cut you off. I didn't. Me or the audience didn't hear the first part of it. Hi, caller. Say hi to Jeff Harman.
Hey, Jeff. You're doing a great job, man. You're very insightful, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best. Who's calling?
This is Owen. I am in Georgia.
You're in Georgia. What do you have for Jeff tonight, Owen?
Well, I wasn't really calling exactly for myself, but while I'm at it, I just kind of wondered what my next step should be, I guess you would say.
Well, let me take a look here.
Owen in Georgia.
Finances. Is your focus on finances right now?
Well, my focus is on everything, I guess you'd say, but yeah.
Yeah, that's where it shows is making money here is where the chart indicates. Are you working right now?
No, I'm not. but I'm looking.
Yeah, that shows like something might be coming your way here. You're going to be starting to make some money here soon, is what it shows.
That is good news.
There you go, Owen. See, that's why you call Fade to Black right there.
Call because of you, my friend. Call because of you.
Thank you so much, Owen. Have a great, safe rest of your evening, man.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Can I inject an idea?
Inject an idea?
Okay, well, I emailed you before about you have all these festivals out west. Well, out here we have Indian mounds and all that stuff, and that would be a great place to have a big gathering. That's what I was thinking,
Yeah, and you know what's funny, Owen? I don't know why, but we get so many emails from people out east wanting conferences and festivals and get-togethers that there's this general lack of it out there. And
we're brothers.
Yeah, I'm fully aware of it, and I have been speaking to people about this, and I guess it's kind of true, and I just didn't really realize how much happens out here on the West Coast because we're here. You know what I mean? You're close to the fire. But yeah, you're right, and there should be something in Atlanta, and I know the MUFON Symposium is going down in Orlando this year, but there should be, or next year. There should be stuff in Florida, in Georgia, in Alabama, and North and South Carolina. There should be some major conferences out there. There's Pennsylvania, and there's things that go on up in New York and Maine, but in your neck of the woods, there just isn't. So I hear you. And
we've got, some old Indian civilizations, the Indian mounds, man, that'd be a great place to have like a Burning Man kind of thing. But, it'd be hard to pull off. But...
Right. No, I hear you. I hear you, and I've been speaking to some people about that. Okay, so and I promise you, we need to get out to the East Coast. We get email about it every day. Everybody's upset that all we do is hang out here on the West Coast, and people can't, come out and meet us and hang out and do the things that they hear about all the time. So we're going to get out to the East Coast, and we're going to get some stuff going, I promise.
Or I might move out there, so hey,
There you go, Owen. All right, man.
Love you, man.
Have a great night.
Hey, you take care on.
Yeah, thank you so much. He's absolutely right there, Jeff. I mean, it seems like when it comes to alternative and consciousness and the whole New Living movement and ET and ufology, everything happens out here, and people hear about all these great
magnetics there in the South. It's a different energy completely.
And there's no doubt about that. And I'll tell you what, you want to know where all the weird energy is? I swear I've never been freaked out in my life like I was freaked out in New Orleans. New Orleans tripped me out.
Oh,
you pull into that.
Camille's from there. She lived there for years. I love New Orleans. You know why? It's interesting because you bring up, Owen just brought up the Indian mounds. Disincarnate souls, also known as ghosts, are rampant in New Orleans. We have a very good friend who lived down in the Quarter, and I remember, what was it? God, I want to say about 10 years ago. My son was just a couple of years old at the time, and I was lying in her living room, and I actually saw a disincarnate sitting up on the chandelier. I actually took a ferry one time across the river to meet an old friend down in the southern part of New Orleans. On the other side, I forget what the name of the city is. It's not Metairie, but it's one of those cities. And I could feel so much energy from the hideous hangings that were done. And he told me later, I said, what happened in this area? So I remember getting off the ferry and going into my friend's house, who Camille had introduced me to, and I could just feel this heavy, sorrowful energy. And he told me, he said, that's where a lot of hangings were done right there. And I said, no doubt about it. And, when you talk about time, which we talked about earlier, mentioning, Teeter and Passaggio, there is no time. We have our time in our three-dimensional world, But there's so much going on, and that's what I love about, again, some of the stuff that astrology has exposed me to, how you can assess and deal with some of this stuff. Really interesting. Sorry to go off on it.
No, you're right. That. You're right, though. And the first time I was in New Orleans, I felt you can put your hands out in front of you and just feel what's going on, man. There is something going on there, no doubt. And this is the other thing. The people in New Orleans know it. That's the other thing. They believe in what's going on. Hi, caller. Say hi to Jeff Harman. Who's calling?
Hi, it's Fran.
Hey, Fran. Say hi to Jeff, and don't ask him to read my charts.
Oh, I don't care about your chart.
I
already know you.
About yours.
Yeah. Okay, Fran.
I already know Jimmy's a great guy.
All right. Enough of that, Fran.
Yeah, I did have a question for Jeff.
Sure.
All my life, I've moved around a lot. I was an Air Force brat, so I got used to moving every 3 years, and I kept doing it after I became an adult. And now I've been in Arizona for almost 16 years. And it's not my favorite choice of where I want to be, but I'm kind of financially stuck here. And I was wondering if you see anything where I might actually escape.
Why would you want to escape? And friend, and while he's looking at that, let me ask you. See, I feel the same vibe. I know exactly what you're talking about because that's all we did. Every 3 years, pulled up stakes, another city, another country, right? But you learn something from that too as well. I was jealous. You move to a town and these kids have been friends and going to the same school and same friends since kindergarten and they've been next door to each other for 10, 20 years. I would be jealous of that. But you know what they didn't get? They didn't get what you and I went and did, which was see the world and make friends and learn how to interact and communicate. So we have that going for us. But now that I'm older, I live that, and I saw the world a few times. But now I just enjoy being in one place and getting to know everybody around us. But I'll tell you what, after this election, Rita says, let's go to Vancouver. She's ready to go. She's like, let's go to Canada, man. Let's blow this popsicle stand. But I was
never jealous.
What's that? What's that, Jeff?
I was never jealous of the kids that I met. That I thought it was kind of creepy.
No,
I thought, how creepy that would be to live like that. And so now, I don't have a family like you do. I don't have kids living with me. I don't have a husband or a boyfriend, and I'm just hanging here day in, day out, and I love to travel. But because of finances, I only get to, make it to CITD once a year.
Right.
And that's my big outing.
Well, what have you got? What have you got for Fran, Jeff?
Well, what it shows is you're right. You are locked here, but it shows you can move. One of the things that I really recommend to people, and this is part of what I do in my personal readings, I include Vedic astrology, and one of the most coolest things is location astrology. And I take your birth chart, extrapolate it across anywhere in the globe. And usually I look where people live, and if they live in the U.S., I look at the U.S. If they live in Europe, I look at Europe. What's happened since the Internet now has become so advanced, everyone has a computer, and what you do is you log right into my computer. I send you a code by email when I do sessions, and you just double-click on the code, and you're right into my computer. In fact, the only difference between coming here and looking at your computer is you don't get my good lattes, because I do have what we call 100-mile lattes.
Yeah, right on. Yeah.
And the bottom line is you can see location-wise where it's good to go. And I have to tell you, that is such a powerful, powerful tool, because you literally can make a movie of my sessions, and that's what everybody does. If you have a Mac, you can do it on QuickTime. If you have a PC, you do it on a Bandicam. And something like that is really worth doing, because you can take and see exactly why you want to go somewhere and why you want to avoid certain places. Because there are certain places that are very challenging, and this gets way past good and bad. But I would tell you, the angles are fixed right now, which means when you ask a question and the eastern, western horizon and midheaven are fixed, you are kind of locked in. But the good news is you're not going to stay there forever. You will escape from Alcatraz, so to speak. It shows that you're not in a bad place.
No, it's not
just
a horrible
you want to travel.
It's kind of a cool place, but I really don't fit here, and I love to travel.
Where are you exactly? Are you like in Phoenix?
I'm in central Arizona, about 45 miles from Prescott.
Oh, yeah, you are
really
seriously.
Phoenix and Flagstaff.
Yeah.
Like Camp Verde, kind of like?
Yeah, below Camp Verde, they're about 20 minutes away, 25.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty rural up there. I love that area. You're right off the 7.
Yeah, that's a beautiful,
I
beautiful
live
area.
right off the 17.
Yeah, that's you get a UFO visit. You get a UFO visit once a day.
I wish.
Beautiful. That's what the chart shows. You got Venus. See, the 4th house is where you would live, and you have Venus and Mercury there, and you don't have any horrendous neighbors. It shows either. I mean, you're okay.
No.
It just you do. You wanna step out, and it really comes down to money. Here is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're locked in. I would tell you, you really don't need to move, but maybe work on ways to make more money, or start creating some way that you can bring in money. As you can, actually. It shows, find a way. You'd be surprised when you get innovative here. What I like is your 10th house of career is actually trining you in about 11 months from now. Start researching. Maybe you can get involved with something to do with travel. I've actually got a number of clients who are travel agents. They put together trips for people, spiritual journeys. Talk to Jimmy Church and see if you can't go out there and visit Owen and get some spiritual journeys going on the Indian mountains or something.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But seriously, you could.
I can't do any hiking. I can't do anything outside like that because of being disabled. So it's very challenging to be able to go do even the stuff that I want to do.
Yeah, right.
Even going fishing is next to impossible.
Yeah. You want to go hike Mount Everest is what you want to do.
Yeah,
and you can't.
right.
Yeah,
No way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want to walk uphill with heavy objects on my back. Sure.
Yeah. But you could certainly go to places. It shows. You're working, aren't you?
No, I haven't worked for almost 4 years now because of my back.
That's why. Okay.
I do volunteer at our local visitor center. It's an information center it's state sanctioned and everything. So I get to tell everybody else where to go visit, hand out maps, and I'm going, can I go with you? Do you have room for one more?
Yeah, right.
Well, that's why I bring this up. About 11 months from now, maybe just right around there, you got something coming up where you could actually put something like that together. Get involved in some way where you might be. Look, you got Sedona right up the street from you. It's not far at all.
Yeah.
You're probably, 30 minutes from Sedona. Yeah. You got Prescott. Maybe in Sedona's awesome. I just love it up there. I just spent some time up there.
I used to go every weekend. I kind of burned out on it. Yeah.
All right, Fran, thank you so much for the phone call, and we'll be seeing you out there shortly.
Best of luck to you, Fran. I hope your back does better.
Oh, yeah. It's usually okay. It's just when I try to work that it goes out, and then I can't work.
Yeah, you got to love that, 22. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fran. Be safe out there.
And thank you, Jeff. I appreciate what you told me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
11 months. I'm counting.
You got it. Bye, Fran.
Okay.
Make it happen.
Good night.
The wave, you got to paddle the canoe with the wave. That's interesting what she just brought up. One of the things I always love to do when I talk to people is astrology is like a stop and go light. It's almost like surfing in a way. If you've ever surfed, you can paddle out there and the wave will come. But if you don't know how to ride the wave, or you don't take initiative and action, the wave just bob up and down. But if you catch the wave and you roll with it, that's how electional astrology works. You put the wind at your back. So what's interesting, the religions castigate astrology as predicting the future. It's not. It's really showing energies. And if you take advantage when positive energies are in play, you capitalize on them. If you don't, they just go by, and you just have a nice time.
Well, let's do one more.
I like to tell people that.
Yeah, Jeff, one last quick phone call. Say hi to Jeff Harman. Who's calling?
Hi, this is Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan. Hi, Jimmy and Jeff. Thanks for sending me the shirt, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, me? Oh, it was Rita, but yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, we talked about the Flash Gordon way back when. Cartoon.
So what's your question, Dan, for Jeff?
Well, I was curious about what you might see about my destiny, about work, career-wise, family.
Jeff, can you get it in a couple of minutes? We got about
Absolutely.
2 minutes left.
Are you working right now?
Yes.
Let me see here once.
Where do you live, Dan?
New Jersey.
New Jersey?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. And
are you doing something with mechanics or carpentry or something?
No. Not doing
No. What do you do? No.
Well, I do leasing for agencies. I look for office space, negotiate and involved in
okay,
contract.
to do with buildings or something. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So you're not building, but you're actually involved with leasing. Okay. I would have said carpentry or something like that. Is it going slow right now? Because I think it's going to pick up. Shows it actually hasn't been real quick, or not been doing real well. But I would say this looks like it's going to pick up.
Okay, Dan?
Yeah.
Dan, are you still there?
Yeah, Dan, you're breaking up, my brother.
Has it been slow for you? Has it been slow the past few months?
It's like a steady job. It's not like I'm not in the construction industry, but I work with agencies that are looking for office space. So it's not like I'm looking for work or anything like that.
Okay.
I'm looking at like career advancement and things like that.
So you're looking to advance your career?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I family stuff. I don't know what you would pick up. So.
Okay.
Well, what I picked up is, for some reason, I'm picking up. See, Mars is strong in this chart right now, which tells me, there may be something you might want to look at expanding your horizons in something to do where you manage construction, or you do something that's not just straight leasing, but also possibly involved with the improvement of a place for leasing, is what it shows here. In other words, you could get involved in a maybe more broader sense. Are you working for this company, or is this a company of your own?
I work for this company.
Okay.
Yeah, because, maybe you might want to look down the line at getting into something on your own.
All right.
I tried that in the past, different areas. I always wanted to have my own business, but.
Well, we gotta wrap up the show, Dan. Thank you so much, and you can just go to jeffharman.com and contact Jeff directly. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, best of luck to you, Dan.
All right. Hey, Jeff, thank you so much. And again, everybody, jeffharman.com. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com. You can click on Jeff's name. It's right there. His websites are there. And you can go and contact Jeff directly. Jeff, an amazing show tonight. And I don't know how you do what you do, but I got the feeling this Saturday you're going to blow my mind. And I look forward to it.
We're going to have fun. You're going to feed me, and we're going to have fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man. And we'll see you just in a few short days. And thank you so much. Give my best to Camille. Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, Jim.
Yeah, have a great night. Jeff Harman, jeffharman.com is what you want to do, jeffharman.com. Man, I just don't know how they do what they do. It blows my mind. And the reason why I've just got a few short minutes here before we head into the weekend, and I have a couple of things I have to cover really quick. Number one is this. I'm shocked. Chumley from Pawn Stars has been arrested for guns and drugs after police raided his home while investigating an alleged sexual assault. Las Vegas Metro PD says officers showed up at his home yesterday with a search warrant in connection with a sexual assault case. Chumley is a suspect in that case. Cops found pot, meth, and at least one gun during the search. He was taken into custody, booked for drug and weapons possession, and the sexual assault charge is still under investigation. He posted bond, $62,000, and now he's out of jail. And I just got to say, you know, you're on a successful show like that, probably #1 show on History Channel. Life is good. Don't mess it up, man. I got to tell you, that free paycheck may be in jeopardy for Chumley. But then again, you know, that's what the courts are for, innocent until proven guilty. Yesterday, the U.S. military revealed that it destroyed an Islamic State chemical weapons facility as the result of intelligence from a captured fighter who was a top chemical weapons official under Saddam. Chemical weapons are banned under an international treaty signed, as we know, after World War I. But Makhmur, Iraq, has been hit by 4 chemical attacks, chlorine and mustard gas, since August 2015. Mortars of metal pipes and more sophisticated 122-millimeter Grad rockets carry the potentially deadly chemicals. On February 25th, ISIS launched 19 chemical rockets. On March 2nd of this year, Tal Afar district near Sinjar was hit by at least 6 chemical rockets. Last week, March 3rd, 20 chemical rockets were fired at Keski Junction north of Mosul. And I just got to say, isn't this exactly, you know, this kind of stuff? Isn't this what we invaded Iraq in the first place, allegedly, right? Weapons of mass destruction. And now this is going on, allegedly, with ISIS. I don't know what to believe. It's mass media. I get that. These reports are coming from the street level, by the way. Now, if that is indeed the case, what are we letting this go for? Why are we getting reports about this now? This happened February 25th. You know, it's very, very interesting, and I just don't get it. This is Fade to Black. I want to thank Jeff Harman. He's one of the best. jeffharman.com. You can go there right now. Check out everything that you need. jeffharman.com. Thank you to all of the callers tonight. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, and Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet. Thank you, everyone who called in tonight. Thank you, Jeff Harman, for an amazing show. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. I want everybody to be safe. Have a great weekend. Monday, Jim Mars right here on Fade to Black. Are you ready? Go do it. Go Beckley Tappy.